Hello and welcome to the Wookie Makes. In these videos we're going to be creating a computer cluster plus plus. What's the plus plus? Well, you better watch and find out. Run the titles. So we're making a computer cluster. What's a computer cluster, you might ask? Well, a computer cluster is a cluster of computers. I know, I'm not going to try and explain it here. You might as well go and watch 100 other YouTube videos for that. They're all good and they're all going to tell you more than I can actually explain in one video. Now, when I say plus plus, what do I mean by plus plus? Well, normally you'd have a single set of machines like this. This is a Raspberry Pi, obviously. And you might put these in a cluster. But what if you want to go that one step further? If you've got something lying around and you've got a set of these and something else. One of these, for instance, this is a cheap machine that you can get off Amazon or eBay. Can you put one of these with a set of Raspberry Pis and still get the same results? Indeed. What about one of these, an old machine? You might want to put this into a cluster. Will they all work together? Can you use them all together in one cluster? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out what we can do with them, how we can connect them, will they all work, and what software we can run them. And we might even write some of our own. Let's find out. Over to the computer then. To start with, we're going to need somewhere to put all this stuff. So this rack mount is ideal, 200mm deep. It'll fit everything in it. Of course, no computer cluster would be a computer cluster without some Raspberry Pis. So we'll be using some of these. The Lenovo Think Centers, why not? They're cheap and easy to get hold of on eBay and Amazon. They have space for a 2.5-inch hard drive and an NVMe drive. They'll be ideal for us. These N5105 machines will sit nicely between the Raspberry Pi and the Lenovo, both in power and in power consumption. They're ideal for the job. They also support 2.5-inch hard drives and have NVMe support as well. To link everything together, we're going to need network support, and that'll be done by a gigabit switch. And now probably the most controversial part of the build, the power supply. A single 12-volt power supply. Why aren't I using a power supply with different voltage rails? Well, that'll become apparent as we get into the build. As it's only going to supply one voltage, and that's 12 volts, we're going to have to get very creative with the way we connect things up. So that's going to be fun. Obviously we're going to need rack mounts for all the Pis. This is a great set of rack mounts, as it also has room for a 2.5-inch hard drive underneath. And speaking of hard drives, each of our nodes is going to have a 500 gig hard drive in it. This will give localized storage as well as the network attached storage as a backup. And to connect it up to each of our Pis, we're going to be using one of these SATA to USB adapters. And bringing the whole lot together on the network will be some cheap network cables we'll just use to hook everything together. So that's the first part of the equipment list.